Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at 4 on this Monday. Eric Franke is in for Susan Simon, who's off today. We had a good weekend.
Yeah.
Sort of inside.
You hit like a ton of bricks going outside today,
Yeah,
though.
it was awful.
Awful. We need some relief from this.
Record low. 10 below.
Set a new record today.
If we're going to go that cold, we might as well set a record.
Yeah, might as well.
The worst part about it is the normal high for this time of year.
I don't even want to know. What is it, 40? Yeah, it seems like it should be that way. You feel like the end of this should be over with by now, you know, right?
Hopefully it will be.
Yeah, should be.
First, here's what's making news on this Monday. On this first week in March, as we yearn for the warmth of spring, Jamie Perez shows us that's affecting those who depend on gardening for their livelihood.
Yeah, and a more dire scene to our south as rescuers look for more victims from the tornadoes that have killed at least 23 people.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse. And a farewell to the actor who portrayed Dylan McKay in Beverly Hills 90210, Luke Perry, dies at a very young age. That's all coming up. First, let's take a look outside. And looking outside, I think, is the best way to deal with this today.
Yeah,
but that doesn't look cold at all, does it?
Oh, my goodness. Are we torturing our weather people by saying,
where do we live?
Outside? We got Chris out there. Is he standing? Oh, man, I hope he's bundled up. Yeah, he looks bundled up. Look at him.
Yeah, I'm bundled up. You are certainly feeling the wind chill. The wind's blowing from the east and southeast while we're out here, and that's not protected here on the weather patio. So the wind chill certainly impacting my ears while we're out here. But hey, at least it's sunny. It could be a lot worse if we were cloudy and cold and snowy. The temperature right now, only 7 degrees, and with winds coming out of the west and northwest, or east and southeast rather, we do have a wind chill. Right now, that wind chill in Madison coming in at -5 at the airport. 10 as you work your way down towards Janesville, 8 in the Dells, 7 in Camp Douglas. And the reality is that most of us are seeing those temperatures staying in the single digits this afternoon, and wind chills staying below 0 just about all day as well. Again, -5, the wind chill for us here in Madison right now. -7 in Janesville. Monroe, that reporting site is still down, but if you were down in Monroe, your wind chills are probably somewhere between about -5 and -10 as well. But here are those winds coming out of the east and southeast at 7 miles per hour here in Madison. I'm sorry, that is the west and southwest. Here in Madison at about 7 miles per hour, 15 miles per hour down towards Lone Rock. And those wind chill advisories that we did have earlier have been allowed to expire, but there are still at least some wind chill advisories as you work your way towards the northern tier of the state there. But as we go through the rest of tonight, expect those temperatures to come down once again. We're talking 2 degrees below 0 for overnight lows, but we will get warmer as we go through your Tuesday gradually. We'll see those highs in the teens for tomorrow. Let's go ahead and show you guys first alert traffic. Here's a first look as most folks begin to head home. This is the Beltline at Park Street. So far, it's moving along smoothly, but we are going to begin to see that volume increase, especially as we go further into the rush hours. Downtown, a few slowdowns starting to show up, especially as you work your way away from the Isthmus, but thankfully no major issues or delays showing up across Dane County. There is a stalled car, though, on the east side at I-94 and I-39. Guys?
All right, well, hopefully we'll warm up eventually.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Come inside, young man.
We need
you
him
look
in
a
here.
little chilly.
Thanks,
Chris.
First and forward, the cold weather staying with us for a while. Gardeners and construction workers are tapping their toes. They're on standby.
Jamie Perez spoke to some local landscapers and gardeners to ask how this cold spell is making this season difficult for them. Jamie.
Yeah, quite a mess, actually. Usually gardening season starts around mid to late March, but with temperatures being so low, I don't know that that is going to happen. We are well below our average for this time of month. People are pretty vocal about how they're very done with winter and they're feeling that spring fever, especially those who say their timelines are pushed back as to when they can start working in the ground again. Landscapers and gardeners at the Bruce Company in Middleton know that feeling all too well.
What a lot of people don't realize is that once the snow is gone, the ground still has to dry up and be workable, and that also goes for our nursery as far as getting the plants out of our nursery. So not only do the sites got to be ready, but our nursery has to be available for pulling the plants out as well. So.
Well, more snowfall is still expected, and as you just heard, it's not just when it stops snowing, but when the temperatures can heat up the ground enough so that gardeners and construction workers can have some workable space there. And a lot of the people that I talked to in that gardening store today said they're planting indoors right now to get a head start because it's been too cold to do anything outdoors. Everyone else who's not doing that is just kind of riding this cold snap out until they feel more comfortable enough to work outside again, but it might be a while.
It's going to be a while to have those gigantic mountains of snow melting.
Yeah.
I have this feeling, though, it's going to go from this to like 80 in like 2 weeks or something like
big
that.
meltdown.
For now, the sun is just a little deceiving. But
Yeah, it is. All right, hang in there, everybody. Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie. And as we mentioned, it could be much worse. Search and rescue crews spent the day looking for more victims of that deadly tornado that killed at least 23 people. This was in Lee County, Alabama. That twister, part of a massive system on Sunday that spawned tornadoes across several states in the Deep South. The National Weather Service says it was an EF4 tornado. Wind speeds estimated now at 170 miles an hour. It hit Alabama. 6-year-old A.J. Hernandez Jr. among those killed. On social media, his aunt called him a precious little man.
This hurts my heart. I love this county, and it's extremely upsetting to me to see these people hurting like this.
And it was a similar scene in nearby Opelika. Drone footage there shows nothing left but piles of debris. That same storm system also damaged homes in Georgia and Florida as well. In the Northeast, it was snow, lots of it. People in Boston woke up to more than 15 inches of wet, heavy snow. At one point, it was falling at 3 inches an hour. Boston public schools and libraries closed today. The mayor ordering all non-essential employees to stay home so crews have plenty of space to clean it all up. Governor Tony Evers in Wisconsin, his 2-year spending plan seeks $78.6 million to expand broadband access across the state.
That money would expand a state grant program to help increase internet access in fringe and rural areas. That's where our Rose Schmidt spoke with people who say this could make a huge difference. Rose?
Yes, well, in many areas, even within Dane County, the problem isn't necessarily that they don't have internet access. Instead, there aren't many providers, it's expensive, and it's slow. This affects business owners, farmers, and even children trying to do their homework. Officials in the town of Dunn, that's south of McFarland, have been hearing concerns about internet access for 10 years. The state's broadband expansion program awarded 2 companies grants to put in high-speed internet last year as part of an initiative under former Governor Scott Walker. As a result, a new transmitter is expected to go in this spring in the town of Dunn.
I think the biggest thing to know is, for the state to know, is don't overlook rural communities near metropolises because we don't have the service. And despite us having 5,000 people, it's spread out. And so having companies invest is difficult for the companies to make a return.
On News 3 at 5, we'll introduce you to the head of a local greenhouse in the town of Dunn, who explains how having broadband could allow him to make significant upgrades. And Governor Evers' budget proposal also includes a statewide goal of increasing broadband speeds for homes and businesses by 2025. But the budget proposal, of course, faces challenges with Republicans in control of the state legislature, who say they plan to make their own budget proposal. And we don't know yet whether or not broadband will be included in that.
All right.
Take it for granted.
Definitely. But it affects a lot of people in this area.
Thanks, Rose.
Well, President Trump says that he'll cooperate after the House Judiciary Committee sent letters to the White House and 80 other people and organizations. It's the latest ramp up in investigations from Democratic-led House committees. Here's Nicole Killian.
During a White House event with the North Dakota State football team, President Trump blamed politics for the House Judiciary Committee's sweeping new investigation.
I cooperate all the time with everybody. It's a political hoax. There's no collusion.
Monday, House Judiciary Chairman Gerald Nadler said his committee sent letters to 81 people and entities, including the White House, requesting documents to investigate possible obstruction of justice, corruption, and abuse of power. The committee's Republican ranking member Doug Collins accused Democrats of jumping to conclusions. After recklessly prejudging the president for obstruction, Chairman Nadler is pursuing evidence to back up his conclusion because, as he admits, we don't have the facts yet. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi defended the committee's move at an event in Texas.
Our founders, in their wisdom, had a separation of powers. To do anything less would be delinquent in our duties.
Officials in the White House counsel's office say they have received the letter from the committee and are going through the request right now in an effort to accommodate as much as they can. The ramp up from the Judiciary Committee comes as other Democratic-led House committees are pursuing investigations into President Trump. The chairman of the House Intelligence, Foreign Affairs, and Oversight Committees have sent letters to the White House and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo requesting documents related to the president's conversations with Russian President Vladimir Putin. In Washington, Nicole Killian for News 3 Now.
And President Trump's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, will be back on Capitol Hill this week for a second day of closed-door testimony with the House Intelligence Committee. Meanwhile, First Lady Melania Trump was in Tulsa, Oklahoma today to promote her Be Best initiative. Mrs. Trump spent the morning at Dove School of Discovery, an award-winning elementary school that focuses on incorporating character education throughout its curriculum.
Well, there is another Democratic candidate running for president. Former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper made the announcement online this morning, becoming the second governor to jump into the sprawling Democratic 2020 contest. Hickenlooper is a former brew pub owner and Denver mayor who hopes his 2 terms governing a swing state show that he can unite the country. Luke Perry passed away today after suffering a massive stroke last week. The actor was best known for his role in the 1990s as teen heartthrob Dylan McKay in Beverly Hills 90210. More recently, he starred in Riverdale. Joy Benedict takes a look back at his life.
All or nothing.
Luke Perry played bad boy Dylan McKay in Beverly Hills 90210, a role that made him a household name.
Need a hand?
Yes. Perry also starred in films including Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Fifth Element, and 8 Seconds, as well as the HBO prison drama Oz. Perry helped raise awareness about colon cancer after he had a precancerous growth removed.
We've both done everything we can.
Most recently, Perry played Frederick Andrews, Archie's father on the CW series Riverdale.
That's a safe life for you. And the jury's still out on that.
Last Wednesday, Perry suffered what doctors called a massive stroke at his California home and was hospitalized. Monday, at the age of 52, Perry passed away surrounded by his entire family, including his 2 children. In a statement, his family thanked everyone for the outpouring of support and prayers. Former co-star Ian Ziering tweeted, "Dearest Luke, I will forever bask in the loving memories we've shared over the last 30 years." Joy Benedict, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Luke Perry had suffered a stroke the same day that Fox announced a reboot of 90210.
They're so young.
Yeah, he was too young. Well, there's more to come at 4. We're heading to the movies with our Will Loper.
We'll find out what he thinks of the new suspense thriller Greta. That's when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Welcome back. Madisonians who love Chicago-style hot dogs and Italian beef got their fix today at Portillo's as it celebrated the grand opening of its 59th location near Easttown Mall.
Yeah, the Chicago-based chain, and I understand it's Portillo's.
Portillo, what did I say?
Portillo's.
Oh, I was doing the Italian.
Yeah, you were really getting into the Italian beef. Well, these beef sandwiches, these hot dogs, hamburgers, salads, and they're also known for their chocolate cake. Chicago natives love it. Having a Portillo's in town makes Madison feel a little more like home for them.
I've been looking forward to this for months, so I'm very excited that they finally got it together and brought Portillo's to Madison.
Portillo's expects to serve about 5,000 customers during today's grand opening, including one of the biggest fans, our own. Look at him. Look at,
there he is.
He like has been waiting for this.
He took today off.
Yeah, I know. He's been, and they had a little soft opening, and he was angry that he didn't get there ahead of the grand opening.
He had a beef and a hot dog.
Yeah, and he's probably bringing some take home too. They expect to serve about 2,500 folks on a regular business day there at Portillo's.
I guess I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, we all should.
Well, the trade rally on Wall Street is fading. The Dow Industrials lost 206 points, closing at 25,819. The NASDAQ Composite Index lost 17, and the S&P 500 was off 10.
She's really freaking me out. This is not a problem.
Public area, the rights are protected.
Why are you doing this? Hi, I'm Frances, and I'll be your waitress for the evening. No, I can't do this. Are you a child?
No, you're the child. You need a mother to hold you.
Don't you dare talk to me about my mother.
She had to die for me.
Are you out of your mind?
Look at her. She's full of bleeding. She's gone. Everyone needs a friend.
Well, that was a clip from Greta, one of the newest movies to creep into theaters. Is it worth a trip to the theater to see? Here to let us know is our film critic, Will Loper. Kind of creepy.
A little bit creepy, and this may, in fact, be the creepiest movie you will see in years, but a fantastic and gripping performance by Isabelle Huppert makes it worth all the weird feelings you'll be feeling. So Chloe Grace Moretz stars as Frances, a nice, naive transplant to the big city of New York. When she sees a handbag left behind on a subway, well, what's a good person to do except return the purse to its rightful owner? The owner is Greta, played by Isabelle Huppert, who seems to be extremely nice to begin with. But when she starts leaving 80 voicemails and texts on Frances's phone, Frances says, okay, you're out of my life. Greta, however, has other plans. She begins stalking and all around just being very creepy. Now, this is a performance that could very easily become a caricature, but in Huppert's hands, you just cannot take your eyes off her performance. There's a few well-done twists and turns, some very tense moments. If you like psychological thrillers and just feeling all around uncomfortable, boy, is this the movie for you.
I'm not sure I need to pay money to feel uncomfortable.
I'm just into these psychological thrillers. There's something about that I enjoy, but yeah, it is a movie that you certainly do feel creepy.
And you had an interesting theater experience.
I did. About 5 minutes before the movie ends, the lights go on, the manager comes out and says there's a fire outside, we have to evacuate the building, we don't know when it'll be reopened. Had to look up what happens online, but it literally cut off at the worst possible moment when I don't know if Greta's alive or not or what's going to happen.
And people in the theater thought that maybe it was part of the movie.
Yeah, some lady thought it was the actual ending of the movie.
Okay, and we don't need those credits.
Oh, yeah.
Forget the unions and all
Has
that.
the movie ever ended with all the lights coming on and blinding us? No.
All right, so what's the rating?
Yeah, this one, 3.6 Isabelle Huppert out of 5.
Pretty good.
She's fantastic, and it's a good movie.
All right, next week.
We're out with Captain Marvel. The 82nd Marvel movie, I think it is. But very excited for this one. It's the first female-led superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
All right, looking forward to that.
Yep.
All right, have a good week.
Yep, you as
Thank you,
well.
Will.
Thanks.
Well, coming up after a frigid forecast, how this cold weather could affect your ability to get around.
Bitter cold temperatures could affect the performance of your electric car. I'm Chris Martinez with the results of a new study.
Well, take a look at this. A magnificent display of the northern lights were seen in the skies over the Arctic Circle in Finland. Guests at the Arctic Snow Hotel, which we featured here, admired the show, which lasted for several hours and colored the sky with green, pink, purple, and white lights. Spring is one of the best times to see the northern lights on the Arctic Circle because of augmented solar wind activity.
Probably warmer in the Arctic Circle than it is here.
Probably warmer there.
This is the Arctic Circle.
Feels like it.
Madison, I know.
Well, yeah, I mean, that polar vortex is down here, right? That's the same. That's
It is. It is a part of the polar vortex, but it'll be lifting out eventually.
Well, let's warm up our viewers a little bit. Brewers outfielder, reigning MVP, Christian Yelich. He'll be a guest star on the CBS show Magnum P.I. tonight. Yelich tweeting out a couple pictures from his appearance last week. He flew out to Hawaii for a few days in January to shoot the cameo. It also includes a Little League World Series champion team from Honolulu, and you can see Christian Yelich. Tonight's episode, it'll air at 8 o'clock right here on WISC-TV. It's actually even been a little cool out in Hawaii, too. It's been the 60s.
I wonder how that came about, that whole thing.
Hey, man, you're the MVP. You end up on Magnum P.I.
There's a lesson, kids. All right.
Hard.
We need a little warm-up around here.
We do need a warm-up, and the reality is average temperatures should be in the upper 30s and low 40s at this point. We are just not there, but have hope. I do think we could get there eventually, and I'll tell you when, coming up next. Well, this morning we did hit a record low here in Madison, Wisconsin. The old record all the way from 1884 at -9. We beat it by 1 degree here in 2019 at -10. That was our forecast going into yesterday, and we did meet that forecast low. Now, the record low high, or the coldest afternoon high that we have seen on this date, was 0. We were forecasting 6. We've made it to 7 at this point. And then our overnight record low is -12. I do not believe that we will get that cold. But here are the record lows, or not just the record lows, but the lows in general across the country from this morning. And the truth is, it was cold just about everywhere you went. -14 at International Falls. Dallas made it to 21. San Antonio below freezing. Those 30s making it all the way to parts of northern Mexico. We go out west, the Bay Area of California in the 40s. Los Angeles in the 50s. Miami at a warm 69 degrees. That was their low this morning. Actual temperatures have been a lot warmer than that. But temperatures right now, 86 degrees for our friends in Miami, 18 in St. Louis, still 30s throughout the deep south as well. 42 in Atlanta, 49 in New Orleans. So all of the country really dealing with the cold for the most part, and a lot of places that aren't used to being this cold for this time of the year. We are at 7 here in Madison. Winds relatively calm. That we still do have a wind chill right around 5 degrees below zero. That 7 made it to our official high for today. We set the record low of -10, but normally we should be right around 38 degrees for our afternoon highs with lows in the 20s. So temperatures are well below average, and they're going to be staying that way for at least the next couple of days. Temperatures right now, 10 as you work your way down towards Janesville. Viroqua at 4 right now. But the moral of the story is all of us are seeing those temperatures that are anywhere between the single digits or lower teens beginning to show up. And wind chills are a lot colder than that. Everyone's wind chill is below zero at this hour. It feels like 5 degrees below zero in Madison. We did have wind chill advisories earlier. Those have since begun to expire for our area. There's a little chunk of wind chill advisory still in play north of Wausau near Eagle River in northern quadrant of Wisconsin, but that'll likely come down as we go through the rest of the afternoon and evening through tomorrow as well. High pressure stays in control of our weather, so that is going to at least keep the sunshine around as we go through the next couple of days, which is good news in terms of staying dry. But that does mean the core of the cold that we do have over us will continue to impact our weather. But watch what happens once we get past Wednesday. This core of cold, which is a piece of the polar vortex, goes back to where it should be, closer to the poles. But as that works its way to the north, we're still on the edge of at least some colder air, but it will not be as cold as we have been. So things do begin to get better for us. We just have to go through the next couple days of cold first. 6 degrees for highs this afternoon, even though we did make it just a little bit warmer than that. We'll cool down to -2 tonight, and then warming up into the teens as we head into your Tuesday. And then tomorrow night, I actually think our lows will begin to stay above zero with a little bit of cloud cover. Wind chills are going to begin to get better as well. We'll see those wind chills right around -13 tomorrow morning, yes, but watch how as we head towards Wednesday, those wind chills even begin to become above zero. And in addition to wind chills getting better, I do think we will overall begin to watch our temperatures get better throughout time. Yes, still below average, but watch where our averages are going. The average temperature right now, 38. By the end of the next 10 days, our average temperature is 42 for the afternoon. And while we're still below average, we're at 39. So we will get warmer through time, and that is certainly good news. In fact, over the next 6 to 10 days, we're going to start to watch the probability of above normal temperatures begin to grow over the eastern half of the country. Colder than normal temperatures in the west, Wisconsin right in the middle of that. And that's the same theme as we go through the next 8 to 14 days as well. So the farther south and east in the country you are, the greater chance you will have for warmer than average temperatures. A lot of that cold still off to the west. But I will tell you one thing. This does set the recipe for storm tracks to move towards the Great Lakes. And so that does mean we will likely still be active with a lot of rainy, windy systems coming our way, and with enough cold air, perhaps some snow involved with those as well. But it's getting to the point of the year where it's going to be a little bit harder to make that snow. So a lot of these will be primarily rain events. Again, overnight tonight, 2 degrees below zero, warming up tomorrow into the teens. So not staying in the single digits with that wind coming out of the west at 8 to 15 miles per hour. It is still an alert day tomorrow morning. That is just for the morning hours where things are going to be relatively chilly there. And then temperatures, check out Saturday, 38 degrees. So we are going above freezing and at least close to 40.
Still Fahrenheit, right?
By the
We're still
weekend.
talking Fahrenheit.
We are still in Fahrenheit. If that were in Celsius, it would be a lot
We're all
warmer.
ready, man. We are ready to turn the corner.
We'll get there eventually.
We will. Come July or
July
maybe
or August, yes.
I'm sure someone probably
We'll be complaining
will
about the
be
heat,
complaining
right?
about the
We
heat.
will.
So yeah.
And the mosquitoes and everything
Oh
else.
yes, I'm
All right.
sure.
All right, Chris, thank you.
Chris. A warning for drivers of electric vehicles.
New research from AAA shows very low and very high temperatures could affect your car's performance. Chris Martinez explains.
Michael Sperling has been driving his electric Nissan Leaf for 6 years. In warmer months, he gets about 80 to 90 miles on a full charge, but when the temperature drops, his car's range does too.
When we had that big cold snap, I probably would only get about 40 to 50 miles if I really pushed it. Luckily, that's still plenty for me on my daily commute, but it's definitely something you have to watch out for.
The Leaf is one of 5 electric vehicles tested by AAA to see how bitter cold temperatures affect driving range.
The temperature right now is 20.2 degrees Fahrenheit.
Researchers simulated cold conditions at this facility in Los Angeles, then ran each of the cars multiple times on this vehicle treadmill. They found the driving range dropped about 12% on average in 20-degree temperatures, and driving range fell 41% when the heater was on because it pulls energy from the battery.
It is very significant and could cause a driver to be, stuck in a situation where they cannot recharge.
Cold weather isn't the only issue. AAA says when temperatures reach 95 degrees or higher, the driving range of electric cars drops by up to 17% if the vehicle's air conditioning is on.
Michael's never had a problem in hot or cold weather.
My normal commute is only about 20 to 30 miles, so I have plenty left over.
And he says any concern about the electric car's range is outweighed by the benefits, like never getting an oil change or having to fill up with gas. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Now, newer electric cars now have a range of about 300 miles. That's in normal weather. AAA says both automakers and battery manufacturers are aware of how temperatures can affect performance of these vehicles. They're working to make improvements.
They should just move to California.
Yeah, that would help.
It would help a lot. Well, the electric British car, the Jaguar I-Pace, won this year's prestigious Car of the Year trophy at the Geneva International Motor Show. Jaguar's director of design said the I-Pace's victory was, quote, a wonderful feeling, adding that it shed the spotlight on electric cars. The Car of the Year award is an annual prize awarded by automotive journalists, with the winner's announcement ceremony serving as the traditional curtain raiser to the Geneva Motor Show.
Of the Jaguar,
Jaguar,
in the
yes.
commercial. That's a beautiful vehicle. Here's something you don't want to see if you own one of the most expensive electric cars. That is the shell, what's left of a Tesla Model X, sitting on a bay in Vermont after being burnt to a crisp, clearly. Police say fortunately nobody got hurt here. The owner was actually going ice fishing, thinks he hit something with his vehicle. Investigators are still trying to figure out exactly what caused the fire. That's a Tesla Model X, which can run up to 82 grand. Looks kind of like an old dune buggy there.
Yeah,
burnt out.
Not much left.
That's not what you want to see. Are you looking for a new addition to the family? How about a new furry friend?
Marissa DeGroot from the Dade County Humane Society is here with Joey Ruler, a bunny looking for a forever home. We'll meet him.
It's a Cadbury cream egg there, doesn't he?
Live at 4 continues. Well, they're heating up the UW campus.
Oh,
I'll tell
my
you.
goodness.
Does that look
This
cold?
looks cold.
Yeah, it is cold. Record cold. A live look downtown. Maybe some relief by Saturday. It's time now for Potentially Yours here on Live at 4. Marissa DeGroot from the Dane County Humane Society is here to help Joey Ruler.
You could make a coat out of Joey there.
He's shedding a little bit.
Yeah, he's definitely sporting his winter coat and his best due here.
So what kind of rabbit is that? What is this?
Interesting hair.
What's this going on here?
So Joey Ruler is some sort of lion head rabbit mix, which gives him just that little bit of a tuft of hair up there. But this guy is about 10 months old and as sweet as can be.
And he's been there a long time.
He has. So Joey came to us and he's been with us almost over half his life now.
Oh, he needs a home.
He seems pretty calm and pretty well behaved.
Yep, and he is one of our best litter box users.
Oh,
and
wow.
he's just one of those guys, as soon as you open his cage, he is right up there wanting to greet you.
And what's the deal with his name?
Joey Ruler. So Joey was actually brought into Dane County Humane Society with some other litter mates. They were a result of a family thinking they had a male and female bunny. And
lo and behold,
thinking they had two male bunnies.
males.
But
We know what happens with rabbits.
It's rabbits.
And they all ended up with office supply names. So we gave Joey a little nice first name. So now he's Joey Ruler.
You used Ruler before.
Do you have a lot of rabbits? I mean, do rabbits come through there quite often?
They are our third highest adoption at the shelter. Right now, we do have several rabbits that have been with us a really long time. And right now, Joey is actually hanging out at Mounts Pet Food Warehouse in Fitchburg, along with a couple other rabbits, Knox and Nova, who have been with us a long time, too.
And just don't get them because it's Easter time. I mean, these are not a starter pet.
Nope, because they can live anywhere between 8 to 10 years, sometimes even up to 12. So they're going to be a long-time friend, and they do need a lot of space to run around and play, and they're very social creatures, too.
All right, your thrift store's open.
Yep, and we are celebrating with our grand opening from today all the way through March 10th. We're going to have some really great deals, and we're also going to have some adoptable animals out there on the weekends.
We should point out, it's not just pet-related items. You have all kinds of things.
Yeah, it's all types of things. It's clothing and house supplies, but we do have those pet supplies, too, if you're looking.
All right, and it's the old West outlet.
Yep, Adoption Center West. You can see it right off the Beltline.
All right, last week.
Oh, last week we had one of our pups on.
Oh, that's
we
a
had
good-looking
June,
pup.
and
June.
she did find a great home.
Oh,
We're
awesome.
so excited for her.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, she needed a
what
home.
a sweetie.
All right, now let's get Joey Ruler a home.
Joey Ruler.
If you're interested in adopting him, checking out all the animals, go to the website giveshelter.org. 838-0413 is the phone number. Marissa, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, Joey. And a group of Madison musicians recently traveled to Cuba to escape the cold and try some amazing food.
And they got to experience a special part of the Cuban culture. We'll share what they brought back with them. That's next on Live at 4.
Well, a lot of folks starting to head home on this Monday. Here's how traffic is shaping up for you. Thankfully, we don't have any major issues showing up on the Beltline as of now. This is the Beltline at Park Street. Still starting to see an increase in volume, but things are moving along, so that is certainly fantastic news. This is the city of Madison right now. We are starting to see some slowdowns on Washington in both directions there, but this is the Beltline. As you approach Fish Hatchery, you're still moving pretty well, around 60 miles per hour in both directions, but it's around John Nolan that you're going to run into just a little bit of issues between West Broadway there. That's where traffic is moving anywhere from about 15 to 30 miles per hour, but at the moment, that is the only truly slow patch that is showing up. Elsewhere, if you're headed eastbound on the Beltline, you are running your normal drive times with no major crashes or delays. Guys.
All right, Chris, thank you. Thousands of performers from Rio de Janeiro's top samba schools paraded through the Samba Drone last night as part of Brazil's famous Carnival. Members of 7 samba schools danced, played music, and sang to celebrate the annual Carnival, but also to bring attention to the country's problems. Some of the schools said they were protesting Brazil's sharp turn to the right. The world's biggest carnival officially ends on Ash Wednesday for the beginning of the somber Christian season of Lent, which of course leads up to Easter. Madison just celebrated its 25th anniversary as a sister city with Camagüey. That's Cuba's 3rd largest city in the central part of the country, about 300 miles from Havana.
A big part of Cuban culture is music, which is why a group of professionals decided Camagüey was the perfect place to go and learn about life through song. News 3 Now producer, photojournalist Melissa Baling shares their story.
We wanted to see how we could help the Cuban people without getting too political.
Madison's sister city relationship with Camagüey, Cuba includes humanitarian assistance like the Wisconsin Medical Project and also group trips where Madison residents can learn what Cuban culture is all about.
Camagüey has traditionally been Cuba's dairy land, so that was a good fit. Also, Camagüey happened to be my hometown in Cuba.
Former Alder Ricardo Gonzalez was at the forefront of establishing the sister city relationship.
Another thing about Camagüey, Camagüey's got a lot of attitude, and so does Madison, as we all know.
Music puts that attitude on display.
There's 2 things that bring the people of Cuba and the people of the United States together, and that's baseball and jazz.
Jazz is a universal language, and when you're creating in the moment, that's just something that all humans share. For Madisonians, a lot of people don't know about Cuba or what the realities of Cuba are. By bringing the musicians, they can experience it firsthand.
Para sobrevivir como músico, tenemos que hacer mucho trabajo sino solo tocar.
UW-Madison bass instructor Nick Moran
All right, so let's build into that mambo.
worked with the Sister City Association to bring 10 Madison professional jazz musicians to play with local Cuban performers.
1, 2, mambo, 1, 2, 3, oh.
Why we do this, why we're doing this project, is because we want to show on both sides what our cultures can be when we combine our art.
They also brought 30 Madisonians of all different backgrounds on the trip and 3 UW-Madison students on their winter break.
It was funny to see like these guys who couldn't speak any Spanish and then these guys who couldn't speak any English sitting next to each other and like able to play the same music. It was also funny to hear like both groups of musicians try to play each other's music. Like the Cubans couldn't swing and then like the Madisonians like weren't really hitting. I mean, no, they did great. Never mind. But you know, like there's like just like a different musical language that both of them had. But then they could still come together and play.
Even coming from 2 different worlds.
What happened there was a true come together where people overcame differences, overcame language barriers, and they got together and they made great music.
Great work there from Melissa Bailing. We want to also give a shout out to Patty Cassidy, who is producing a documentary about that Camagüey trip, providing us all that video.
And if you're interested in visiting Cuba, the Madison Camagüey Sister City Association takes group trips every year. You can find out more information on their Facebook page.
Would be interesting to go.
I would love to try that.
Different world.
Check it out. All right, we'll be right back with a final check of your forecast. Chris is back. A cold night.
It is a cold night. It's cold out there right now. Can't get any much worse, but at the same time, it could. But temperatures right now at 7 degrees here in Madison. A lot of those wind chills, a couple degrees below zero, depending on where you are. Some folks upwards of 10 to 12 degrees below zero when it comes to those wind chills. We'll watch them hang out around that ballpark going through the next 12 hours, but actual overnight lows will hang out right around 2 degrees below zero tonight.
But not a record.
Not a record.
That's good.
That's
progress.
One positive.
Progress.
It does get better from there.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Coming up tomorrow here on Live at 4, we'll meet some of In Business Magazine's 40 Under 40.
And do you have a new phone sticker shock? Consumer Reports will tell us how to get the most out of your own phone. That's tomorrow on the next Live at 4. And today's final touch, boy, you talk about an orange crush.
Thousands of people gathered in a small town in northern Italy for the traditional Battle of the Oranges. Tons of oranges will be thrown over the course of the battle, which will continue for another day. It's the highlight of the town's annual carnival. The origins of the food fight date back to around 1200 AD.